Coming up on TiPS, imagine opening the evidence vault at your ECC only to discover it's become the digital equivalent of a hoarder's garage. Drones, doorbell cams, body-worn video, telematics, sensor logs, PDFs, and the occasional lost cat photo, all piling up like you're the Amazon S3 warehouse for your county. Next-Gen 911 promised us more data, but nobody warned us about this much data. Stick around, the flood is rising. Next on TiPS, Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch, your friendly neighborhood ENP, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest, the smartest, and occasionally most terrifying realities inside emergency communications. Today's episode's going to dive head first into a topic that every ECC director secretly dreads, but pretends they've got under control during budget season: storage, retention, and the terrifying metadata avalanche hitting NG911. Because while everybody loves to talk about multimedia-rich incident data, nobody seems to talk about the infrastructure required to store that fire hose of ones and zeros. The data explosion nobody budgeted for. Multimedia Next Generation 911 isn't trickling in. It's arriving like a tsunami with an express pass. Every day, ECCs are getting flooded with information like live video streams, text to 911 chat logs, high-resolution photos, telematics crash packages, IoT sensor bursts, geolocation breadcrumbs, body-worn camera handoffs, building floor plans, citizens to 911 portals, automated crash detection data, AI-generated transcripts and translations. While each of these on their own is more than manageable, together, it's a big problem. They create a retention nightmare straight out of a CIO's horror movie. And just think about it. All of this is happening before a nationwide NG911 deployment is even complete. The retention mandates. The perfect storm. The big problem is public safety just can't delete things. Every state, agency, and policy manual has retention rules for evidence, records, and public records requests. Now apply that to multimedia. Some ECCs are learning the hard way that they're facing 30-day retention rules for video, 90-day retention rules for text, 7-year retention for call audio, infinite retention for homicide evidence, mandatory retention for civil litigation, automatic extended retention once a FOIA request hits. And the sad part is, all of this becomes evidence with full chain of custody requirements. That means you can't lose it, you can't alter it, you can't mislabel it, you can't accidentally archive it to clear space for next week. This is all evidence, and evidence has rules. Just store it in the cloud. Sure thing, Cloud Boy, great idea. Until the CFO gets the first bill. Sure, public cloud storage is scalable. It's elastic. Hell, it's convenient. But with millions of files, hours of video, and multi-vendor platforms pumping in data, that gets you egress fees, API access fees, retrieval fees, lifecycle management fees, and legal hold costs. Suddenly, your $8,000 cloud line item is a $180,000 budget implosion, and someone's asking why the Zoom call for dispatchers line item is bigger than CAD. The real threat: system failure at peak load. ECC storage isn't just about capacity limits. It's about performance under stress. When the system is full, you risk things like slow uploads, failed recordings, stalled call logs, dropped metadata, corrupted evidence, non-compliant chain of custody. Imagine a use of force case collapsing because a storage array ran out of space at 3:17 a.m. and nobody noticed. And that's not hypothetical, it's already happened. Why it's worse in NG911. NG911 is event-centric. With the EIDO, Emergency Information Data Object, every call becomes a container. That container is filled with location objects, media attachments, routed metadata, logs, timestamps, identity elements, agent handoff notes, policy-based tags. Sure, it's elegant, but the storage footprint is like Bigfoot's sneaker. Now multiply that by 1,000 calls a day, 25 media events per incident, 60 ECCs in a region, and 7 or more years of retention. You're looking at petabytes of data. Yeah, petabytes of public safety data. Chain of custody in the NG911 era. In next generation 911, everything becomes metadata enhanced evidence. Chain of custody becomes a life or death policy concern. And you need to implement things like immutable storage, audit logs, digital signing, timestamps, access logs, hash verification, tiered retention, secure transfer for prosecution, redundancy across regions. In next generation 911, even if one bit changes, trust me, a defense attorney will notice. They're looking for it and they'll absolutely make it your problem. Wrapping it all up. Public safety is like standing in front of a tidal wave on the beach with a toy plastic bucket in your hand. Next generation 911 won't succeed unless agencies start preparing for the back-end reality. And that means things like handling massive storage demands, implementing multimodal retention rules, establishing evidence-grade chain of custody, sharing that data regionally, implementing cloud cost governance, implementing automated lifecycle tools, and policy-driven data minimization. We have to stop pretending that storage is just an IT problem, because it's operational, legal, financial, and civil rights problem. And if we don't address this now, the data deluge will drown the very ECCs it was meant to empower. That wraps up today's episode of TiPS, Today in Public Safety. Thanks so much for listening. I hope I gave you something to think about, and if I did, make sure you store it in the cloud. For more updates and insights, remember to follow me on social media at Fletch911, and you can visit 911tips.com for our full episode archive. My blogs are always available at Fletch.tv, and my professional consulting site is Fletch911.com. Stay safe, thanks so much for listening, and if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. I'll catch you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.